Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, October 12th, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I'm Goes. There's no Dan Tom. There's no John Morgan. There's no Danny Okers. It's Goes and Josh.
Yo.
That's pretty much it. I think Gorgeous
We
George,
got it.
I think I heard his voice in the background. I think he's there. He's out in Orange County, California. The mean streets of Orange County, California. It's where we grew up. I had some friends visit from Orange County, so they were telling me how different it is now. You ever been to California, Josh?
I have. San Diego, L.A., San Fran. Quite the distinction, a little bit different each place. Love it, though. Love Cali.
I was just about to say, you almost can't get more different on all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Love Cali, man.
It's fun. It was nice where we grew up. Everything was very close. Where we grew
You
up,
do need a
Josh,
car, though.
we had the Angels were 10 minutes away.
Mm.
The Ducks were 10 minutes away. Dodgers about 45 minutes. Lakers same.
Yeah.
Padres. San Diego's about an hour and 20 minutes away. Mexico is like 2 hours away if you want to party there. If you want to go up to the snow, it's about an hour and a half away in Big Bear. It was a perfect location. The beach was 10 minutes away.
I mean, what else? You guys are literally right in the center. That's right in the center of just everything you could want out of life. I'm severely jealous.
Yeah, we loved it. And then we moved out here to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has grown on me, though. I like it now. It's cool.
Our own Luke Thomas, not the biggest Vegas fan.
Well, Luke's not a very big fan of anything. Except for the Redskins and
Lifting.
lifting. And what else? Soccer.
Metal. Soccer.
I think that's it, right? I think he likes MMA.
Yeah. It's decent.
Yeah. But yeah, I could see why people wouldn't like Vegas.
10 seconds. Here we go.
All right,
Showtime.
let's have a good show, guys.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Fight Nation.
Just on my end, I'm a huge hooker.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
That's right. The guys are in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook. Jumbo Josh back in New York, SiriusXM Studios. I'm in Costa Mesa in the frigid KOCI 101.5 Studios, Classic Rock. What's up, everybody? It's Friday, October 12th, ready to wrap up another week here. And, of course, it's coming off the biggest week probably in the history of our sports with Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor, who mixed it up 6 days ago. And, man, there's still reaction coming from that. That'll be fun to maybe start to put to an end. As we turn the page, and we have two Bellator events, one tonight, one tomorrow night. We have a PFL event tomorrow night. And, of course, a lot of news to talk about. So join us for the ride. Buckle up. We have two guests today. Herschel Walker, who was going to be on yesterday's show, got rerouted to today's. Eddie Bravo will join us as well. Head coach to, or coach to athletes like Tony Ferguson, but of course more known for his 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu system. He was the head coach of the 10th Planet team that grappled at Quintet this past Friday. Guys, can you remember 1 week ago all the not anxiety, but you know how excitement you had as we were nearing UFC 229? That was like a whole week ago. I wish we could go back to that. That was such a fun week.
I was just talking about this last night. Last week was when I came back from Utah, right?
Last Monday, yeah.
I can't believe this is such a blur. Like everything that happened, Quintet, all the stuff we went through. But Quintet was a fun time, man. I'm really glad that we did that. That was really, really cool, and I hope they bring it back to Vegas again.
Well, we'll find out. We'll see if Eddie Bravo knows anything about it. His team battled Team Polaris in what was one of the funner stretches of grappling throughout the night, but they came up a little bit short. Now, those two were paired together, even though they were the respective champions of Quintet 1 and 2. But as we all know, Sakuraba's team and Faber's team, they got matched up. These two other teams got matched up. Team Polaris won there, and then Team Faber, Team Alpha Male, Faber's team, they wound up defeating Team Polaris. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. There was a few people, like Chris from Seattle, shout out to him. He was saying that Quintet he wasn't that excited about it going in, and then coming out of it, he said it was one of the funnest events he's ever been to. So he rolled the dice. He took a chance. He had a blast. Hopefully it went well for Quintet, and like you said, hopefully we see him again in Vegas, or at least in America.
Well, they're definitely going to do more of them. And but yeah, Vegas just kind of worked out. I thought they'd have a little bit of a bigger crowd, but I guess there's just so much going on that maybe the word didn't get out. But I'm sure after this first event and people talking about how much fun they had, I would imagine the next event's going to have a lot more people. And I like the venue. I thought the venue was perfect.
It was. It's only their third event. Think about just UFC 3 or any of the other promotions that have been in existence in our sport. A lot of them just don't get off the ground, with sellouts or anything like that. So it'll take a while. Chael Sonnen, he's done pretty well for himself. I think his events have been sellouts. Metamoris did well, sold out. Remember, it was $100 a ticket. That's it. One price for all. No budging. Hell, I think they said no media a couple times. And then they experienced, of course, their problems. So they did have a little bit of some success, but on the back end, things didn't go right. EBI, which is, again, Eddie Bravo. From what I recall, he did well with his. So submission grappling, I don't think, is going anywhere. It's just who can sustain and I guess maybe become the leader, if you will, from the submission grappling game. Where will all the better athletes go? That remains to be seen.
Explain something to me, George.
Eddie Bravo. Okay.
How are you cold right now? I've known you for 40 years. I don't know that I've ever heard you say you were cold. And I've been in the same room as you where I am freezing. And you're just sitting there listening to music. What is Mike Boyle doing there right now that has you cold?
Well, I think when you're starting the battle of cold, which is what I feel like I'm doing, you become a little weaker. And so, therefore, you're right. I've been in this room. Mike Boyle, how many shows have I done here? About 20, 30?
Yeah.
No problem. In shorts and everything. But today's, man, I'm hurting a little bit. But there's nothing we can do. KOCI, that's just the way they roll. Yeah. The icicles are going to be hanging from my lips here pretty soon.
What's Mike Boyle watching on TV?
Let's see here. It looks like a 70s show. It looked like an old...
Endless Summer. Classic surfing movie from the 60s.
Yeah, the only thing I saw was a storefront, and it looked like a...
You can use my jacket if you want.
No, I'll be okay. I had that undershirt, so I'm surviving.
Okay,
yeah.
I have no problem.
Here's the question that I got yesterday from two different people. Has Mike Boyle ran out of gas since the last time we talked?
Yeah, Mike Boyle. How many times did you run out of gas? 300?
No, 300. No, I think over 100.
Over 100?
I can safely say over 100.
Okay. Have you ran out of gas since the last time I was here?
No, I haven't, but my reserve light is worn out because it's just That's how I roll right now.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to change my ways, believe me.
No, don't do
All
that.
right.
I love having a friend that I could say does that. I love having that in my bag of
Oh,
tricks.
great. Yeah, okay.
All right. Eddie Bravo will join us in about 20 minutes or so. We can take your calls, 866-522-2846. You can give us your predictions for Bellator 207 and 208. I mean, they're piggybacking each other on back-to-back nights. And remember, we have two different events. We have Mitrione and Bader. We have Fedor and Chael Sonnen, the semifinalists at Bellator. And the winner of those will collide, I believe, in January is when they have the finals pegged. The winner of that will be the Bellator heavyweight champ. The last champ Bellator had was like 4 years ago. It was a guy named Vitaly Minakov. They butted heads with him over a contract dispute. He was for one, he was just, how would you call it, shelved. Mm-hmm. He was still with the organization, but they weren't giving him a booking, or maybe they were. He wasn't taking it. He wanted more money. Then there was talks he might be going to the UFC. And then eventually Bellator re-signed him. So I expect for Minakov to maybe face the winner of that event, or I don't know what will be done with him. Now, also, keep an eye on Roy Nelson versus Sergey Karatanov. If any of the two semifinal winners were to sustain some sort of an injury, then guess what? The winner of that alternate matchup, should they not sustain an injury, they would fill in. And in previous Grand Prix, in the history of covering the sport and being a fan of the sport, we've seen that all too many times. So that could very well happen. You definitely want to keep an eye on that. Plus, PFL 9, this is the promotion, PFL, Professional Fighters League, that started in 2018. Well, technically the PFL started in 2017, but in 2018 they adopted the concept of regular season and playoffs. In the regular season, you would have two different matchups between other fighters from your weight class, and you accumulated points by winning your fight and in what round you finished your fight. They took the top 8 out of 12 from every division and basically pared them down to quarterfinals using those 8. From those 8, you fought twice in one night, and we were left with 2. That happened last week. We already know that Steven Seiler and Lance Palmer are the top 2 featherweights coming out of that division. In fact, I feel like an idiot for not calling Steven Seiler. I'm really, really happy for him. That's life-changing for him. And then, of course, the heavyweights. We talked to one of them yesterday, Josh Copeland. He'll be facing Philippe Lenz. The winner of those matchups wins $1 million. So we've been talking about this, and we're getting so much closer. And now it's light heavyweights and lightweights tomorrow night in Long Beach. We still have a few tickets left. Get at Goes and I at the Goes at MMA Junkie George. We'll be there. And we've given most of them away, but still got a few more. So hit us up on Twitter or call into the show. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'd love to see you there. Tomorrow night, Vinny Magalhaes, a long-time Junkie favorite for Junkie Nation. We've known him since, I guess it was season 8 or something like that, when he was on the reality show, The Ultimate Fighter. Mm-hmm. He used to come into the studio a lot. We hadn't had him in a while, but man, we've seen that guy go through a lot. He went through some struggles over at M1, and basically becoming disenfranchised from different organizations and these public fallouts. But now with PFL, he's found his home. He made easy work of his opponents in the regular season. He was able to get 2 first-round stoppages in both fights. And so he's the number 1 seed. So I know a lot of people will be cheering for Vinny. And then, of course, Will Brooks, how about the former Bellator lightweight champ? He's still involved in all this, as well as Rashid Magomedov, who's like 20-2 or 20-3. He had a good run in the UFC. I guess they just weren't able to agree on terms at some point, and he wound up over at PFL, but now with a chance to win $1 million. But they, of course, still have to do their quarterfinal and semifinal matchups. So, again, it's an off week for the UFC, but lots going on. Goes, what are you looking forward to the most? And Dan, too.
Dan is not here today.
Oh, okay.
So it's just Goes over here. But most likely, really, this Bader Mitrione fight, I've been racking my brain over it, and I really haven't been able to come out with a concrete outcome. And whenever that happens, it usually means it's going to be a really good fight. So I really think that's probably the fight that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, no doubt. Frankly, I want to check it all out. You know, always loved tournaments, Grand Prix, or in PFL's system, they call it playoffs. I've always liked that because the politics are out. You know what I mean? It's not a popularity contest. It's not anything other than who handled their business and deserved to get to a tournament final or to a championship title shot or whatever. You know, I loved them through Bellator, and even though a lot of times you thought, "Wow, man, there's no way 1 and 2 don't make it to the finals." If 4 and 5 made it, you had to tip your hat. They handled their business. They eliminated 1 and 2 along the way, or somehow it happened. And then you know what? They kind of became stars. People love those words: tournaments, playoffs, Grand Prix. But if you're handling your business and the promotion is promoting you in a right way, the correct way, then guess what, man? I mean, you have a big opportunity to become a star in this sport. I think Eddie Alvarez is a great example. Ben Askren, you know, they wound up having great careers. They backed up their tournament runs. Ben Askren's never lost, for crying out loud. But either way, you just knew that they had been put through the ringer to come out on top. Go ahead.
I think it's like in all the other sports where you would see something when you look at somebody's career and you can add in like MVP or you know, most points scored in a season, that sort of thing. Like, I think tournaments kind of add that to your resume.
Hell yeah. Exactly.
It's a big deal.
Guys, what about SiriusXM Fight Nation's own Sean O'Connell in action tomorrow night too? War OC, man.
Yeah.
War OC Sports. You know, we've been backing him for sure. He's had a rough go of it in some of those fights, so we'll see if he can, you know, be a gamer. You know, you got to believe Vinny is going to be really, really tough to beat, but Vinny needs an opponent. So yeah, let's see if Sean O'Connell can come out of that. Sean really. He's the only thing I don't like is he sustains a lot of damage. But other than that, he's in all of his fights, and he's got, you know, a great chin. He's hard to take out for sure, and he looks like he's like one of those poised competitors out there. He never looks like he's in a panic or anything. So to me, it tells me he's well prepared. If he could just avoid some of those strikes, I really feel like he could, you know, a couple of them losses could have gone his way.
Good fighter though, and he's a great guy. I really enjoy talking to him. I like him on his show. He's a cool cat. I really hope things work out for him.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Goes Khabib and Conor McGregor. So I want to go back to that for just a second. Khabib, I should say. Now that this is starting to simmer and you've seen people's opinions fly back and forth, not much has come out of the UFC. Have you rethought his stance? Did he make the right move in threatening the UFC that even he will lose, or he will leave if they don't bring his boy Turkagov back? Not just for the matchup versus Lobov, which was supposed to happen in the coming weeks, but I think just that he doesn't get cut from the UFC.
Well, I don't think Khabib is the type of guy that I honestly, he's not a bluffer to me. I think if he says something, he means it. But that doesn't shock me coming from Khabib. Who would shock me coming from, and I have to imagine at some point he consults his manager, Ali, and I don't know that Ali would have advised something like that. So I want to say cooler heads will prevail, but Khabib just strikes me as a guy that if he says something, he means it. So I think it's a threat that the UFC definitely needs to take serious.
Yeah, I agree, man. I just hope that it doesn't come to that.
It won't.
But I don't know what the solution will be without somebody, like you said, dick tucking and backing off. You know, what's ever been a long time stance or a recent stance. This whole thing was Brooklyn, man. What a mess, huh?
I know. But, you know, without it, who knows that we have all the drama that we're talking about. And the post-drama that we had from the fight, who knows that people would even be talking about a potential rematch. I think people would have just been over it at that point. Everybody would have moved on. But all that drama is what's fueled all this and fed all this talk.
Well, we'll save some of this for our daily debate. That is going to be the question that we tackle later on in the show. But yeah, what a shocker, man. Coming out of that, that's what everybody's been talking about. A lot of my friends have been telling me, you think it's going to happen? You think it should happen? What do you think will happen? And I don't even know where to begin to sort it out. I don't like to go back in time. Like, you can't really go back to April and go, Conor, come here. We have to punish you. It seems like that happened. Mm-hmm. The state of New York gave him some community service and a fine, I believe, and then he's going to have to deal with Chiesa and Borg, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Namajunas or any of the others did anything in terms of a civil lawsuit. So he'll have to deal with those two. The UFC, what I believe, I said this on one of the shows, was they told him, hey, you took away from 223, from some of the matchups that got taken down and some of the other matchups that we had. There's a cost to that. There's a cost to the bus and anybody that was maybe transported or hurt in any way. There's a price to all that. And we're just going to take it off this huge paycheck we're going to give you at UFC 229. And Conor just looked at it and said, yeah, all right, take it off. I'm still making a ton of cash. And that footage will be used to build up UFC 229, of which I get a piece of through pay-per-views, so I will make it back. So yeah, he probably lost some money, but he still made a ton of money.
That's part of the renegotiation,
going forward,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they just make
going
up for
forward. Right. Yeah. So what they'll do is take for example, I don't know if he's still a holdout or not. Le'Veon Bell from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's missed 5 games now? What are we 6 games in?
5
games in?
I believe.
Something like that, right? And at some point, he'll have to come to an agreement. But they're going to go, well, you didn't get your check for these games. Let's call it $2 million. We have to fine you a certain amount on top of that. Let's call it now $2.5 million. But here's a new check. Here's a new deal. We finally agree. You get some of the money you wanted. But, of course, Le'Veon Bell's going to be like, damn, but what about the $2.5 million I missed out on? And let's just say Pittsburgh feels like he has a point, because obviously if you're not off to a 5-0 or 6-0 record, you kind of need Le'Veon Bell. So let's just say they concede. They'll make up some sort of a bonus. Hey, if you score 4 TDs this year, we'll give you a $2.5 million bonus. You see what I'm saying? And then it all gets fixed. Everyone's happy. Or maybe they only give him 2 and he has to lose out on $500,000. Who knows? That's what I think the UFC did with Conor McGregor. Maybe they threw in proper 12 on the canvas. Normally that's a spot where they get a couple million for or something like that. Hey, we'll just waive that. But some repercussions were probably paid, because again, you guys say Conor McGregor's a good businessman, so is Dana White. What I want to know is going forward, if they have the immediate rematch or just a rematch, do you use all of that footage, different angles from the tussle that happened after UFC 229's main event to market the immediate or future rematch? Or do you learn from the lesson of Brooklyn? A lot of people are saying, had you not done it that way, have you not marketed and advertised gangsters, then you wouldn't have had gangsters, or fighters acting like gangsters. So do you learn from the lesson, or do you just push forward?
In a way, you learn from it, but it happened, and you've already crossed that line once. So I think once you cross that line, they're going to do it regardless. You think they wouldn't show up? I think they're absolutely going to show up, because that's the only reason why we would tune in, everything that happened afterwards. Without that, there was a very clear conclusion, and that's that Khabib Nurmagomedov dominated Conor McGregor in that fight. Conor had moments, and Conor actually looked better at times, like he's improved his game, but it wasn't enough to catch up to the level of Khabib. There was no need to watch that fight again. So without that footage, it wouldn't make sense for that fight to happen. They're going to need that to promote that fight.
Yeah. I think they will as well. But see, what happens is, when them only relying on the state or the state commissions to dole out monetary punishments and fines, then they kind of wash their hands of it, and I don't know that they send any sort of a message to curb it going forward. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Other than to say, we'd prefer you not do that in stern words or whatever it is they say. But the UFC maybe does have to take a stance now going forward. We just can't have that. I've always said, hey, look, when the two fighters face off after they weigh in, someone gives the other guy a shove and everyone goes, ooh, you know what I mean? And someone that was on the fence says, all right, I got to get this, man. I got to see someone get their ass kicked or whatever. Okay. Well, once fists start flying and it's a little too crazy, can't have that. You know what I mean? It can spill over into the crowd, and you definitely don't want that.
Well,
anyway, all right.
Who are the fighters that are above? Man, I hate saying it that way, but who are the fighters that are above punishment that can actually pull these type of things off? I don't think there's that many of them, and the few that they have, I think, are more on their way out. So I don't know that this will be a reoccurring issue. I could see a guy like Brock Lesnar, I think, could pretty much do whatever he wants, and he's just going to get Brock, you and your stuff. John Jones, Daniel Cormier could probably get away with a few things, but he's on his way out, right? Maybe Michael Bisping, he just left. But other than that, do we really have that many up-and-coming superstars that could pull stuff like this? Ronda Rousey probably could have done something like that and gotten a little slap on the wrist. But other than that, for the most part, the roster's pretty chill.
I suppose you're right, but it can't hurt.
Yeah.
It can't hurt to take a stance. You just never know. These fighters, they come in waves, Look at Lewis. Remember the fight Lewis had against Ngannou with as much booing that went on in that?
I remember.
People turn their back on both guys. Oh, my God, I never want to see him again, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, Lewis comes, and Lewis was on his way to losing this past Saturday night. Comes back and wins. Now he's got a title fight. He made a performance bonus, 50 G's for the KO. He won his win bonus, which was 135. That's why I was telling him that punch was worth 185,000. He was 11 seconds away from missing out on all that. And the title shot, trust me, he's not getting 135 and 135 for that one. I'm not saying he's getting pay-per-view cuts, but I'm sure he was convinced one way or another to take the fight. He could be taking home $500,000 to $1 million to take that fight on 3 weeks' notice against DC. So, just like that, man, all it takes is a punch and subsequent ground and pound, and next thing you know, you can be a star. I think he has almost added an extra 1 million followers on Instagram. So that was definitely a big, big night. You never know what's going to happen with O'Malley and some of the other fighters that are young and up and coming. But yeah, I suppose you're right, because I see what you're saying. Maybe that old guard kind of had a little bit more of their way, and maybe going forward there'll be more of a constitution that checks these guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eddie Bravo's going to be joining us shortly, so why don't we get some of these breaks out of the way? That way we're not in some sort of a panic towards the end of the hour. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM's Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
Tell your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
Kick off your weekend with some Friday night MLS action as LAFC look to continue their brilliant season debut against the Houston Dynamo. Debut season, excuse me. Listen to the game at 10 Eastern on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM, connected devices, and speakers. Josh, is that metal that Luke likes?
So I think this is right on the line because this is new Metallica, and I played this for Luke during Hot Take Tuesday.
I like this.
Have you not heard this before?
No.
This is Spit Out the Bone, my humble opinion, the best track off their new album, as well as the best song probably that they've come out with for the last 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Ah, okay. Well, I really like this one. I know a lot of times he's bickering with you guys about the certain kind of metals or whatever. Most of the time I'm not a fan, but I really like this one.
I think Luke's likes a little more growling. He does Harambe Metal Wednesdays, and this is it not quite enough growling, I believe. And Luke also prefers the old school Metallica to this, which I can't hate on at all.
When's
but
Metallica
yeah,
in Vegas?
I believe November 26th, which I'm hoping to attend.
This guy, what are you like, Wikipedia? How'd you know that?
Oh, dude,
right at the top of your head.
When it comes to Metallica, my obsession is unhealthy. I'll be the first to admit. No, I'm hoping to be out there for that show. Yeah, Monday, November 26th.
All right. So strike one with Eddie Bravo. We'll see if we can snatch him up though before the show's over. I really want to talk to him because Quintet was a lot of fun. And even though his team came up a little bit short, he's got some beasts over there, man. Those Martinez brothers are really, really fun to watch. And hopefully one of the two, I think it was the older one, didn't suffer too serious of an injury. He got heel hooked, if I'm not mistaken, by Team Polaris. And, man, you could just see him wincing in pain. And he took as much pain as he could before finally getting the tap out, or tapping out, I should say. But I would really love to see that again in Vegas or SoCal. I am there, man. Provided the schedule is clear, that was really, really a fun night. And thank you to Fight Pass and Quintet for extending the ability for us to have some of the grapplers on our show, about a month prior to the event. And then they allowed us to give away some tickets as well. So they went to some very, very happy junkies. All right, we'll just continue here. Don't forget, we're also going to talk to Herschel Walker, former Heisman Trophy winner, All-American in football at the University of Georgia, national champion. They won it one year with him, Goes, like it was 1980. Mm-hmm. He led them to a national title. I'm not so sure Georgia's won one since then, by the way, and they always have been a pretty stellar team. I think they may even be a top 10 team this year.
Better.
But we'll talk to him. He played
now.
pro ball as well. Yeah. He played pro ball as well, and he even fought in mixed martial arts. Got a 2-0 record, but he hasn't fought since, I think, 2011, 2012. And you know what? When he fought, he didn't look bad. That's why I thought, oh, man, this guy's just going to keep doing it until someone stops him or maybe a serious injury, which, of course, I wasn't rooting for, but he actually didn't look too bad.
Well, that's
phenomenal
the thing about,
athlete, man.
Herschel, right? The one thing that nobody's ever knocked him on was just his preparation. I mean, he took it serious. We've interviewed him before. Just the things that come out of his mouth, you can tell he really loves martial arts, and he took everything serious, and he looked pretty good. Like, I'm trying to think of people who've done crossovers like that looked as good as he did early on, and I was very happy watching him that day.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm sure he's done at this point. I just don't see that long of a layoff. And now, of course, 6 more years. I don't see the need. I think he proved himself. He tested himself. But he's become good friends with a lot of those guys from AKA. So I know he wanted to come in and show some support for his teammate, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Maybe give his thoughts on the event and everything that happened afterwards. Javier Mendez, he's keeping a busy schedule. He's got DC and Luke Rockhold that night. Rockhold isn't in a title fight, but that's a big, big matchup versus Chris Weidman at UFC 230. And, of course, DC is in the main event. So it was really cool to have the coach. We've had him on before via the phone, but we've never had him in studio. So that was cool. But to see him come out of that with his, with his hand raised in the Khabib fight, and now, another title defense with DC. We've got to give Lewis his due. He may, He's got heart. He's got some heavy hands. You never know what might happen. But overall, just a big month for Coach Javier Mendez.
Dude, if you go back a little bit, and all the scenarios that we came up with for Daniel Cormier when he won the belt, not one of them involved Derek Lewis. I can't believe we're actually here talking about that. And it's going to be a fun fight, but it's just that it goes to show that how unpredictable this sport can really be. I mean, we were throwing out possible Stipe rematch, John Jones at light heavyweight, at heavyweight. Alex Gustafsson was a name. Brock. We were all over the place, but not at one point did we ever say the name Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis was fighting off all the criticism from people, rightfully so, for the fight with Ngannou, and he's turned it around. Now he's in a title. Like, this sport really is amazing, and if you just go back, and I think it was Josh that listed it, just the things that happened this week are nuts. That's what makes this sport so much fun, though.
By the way, Dave Meltzer has reported 1.9 million pay-per-views, and I guess through the digital side, 470 to 480. So together, it sounds like a 2.4 million pay-per-view show.
Parker.
That's UFC 229. That would be about, oh boy, why did I go down this road? I think 750,000 more than the previous record of 1.65 million. 1,650,000 is what I meant to say. Pay-per-views. So shattered it. Absolutely shattered it. And it's short of Conor versus, or Pacquiao versus Floyd. Mm-hmm. And Conor versus Floyd, which were both in the 4.2s, 4s, whatever millions of pay-per-views. So well short of that, but still crushing McGregor versus Diaz too. Congrats to the UFC. Congrats to Conor McGregor and Khabib. Conor hadn't been in the sport for 2 years, and look what he was able to do, man. That is simply amazing.
Give me a number.
That is a lot of money for a lot of people.
Give me a number of what you think it would have sold without the bus incident. If they chose not to promote it that way, what would it have sold? Just two guys disliking each other.
I still think so. The slap remains.
Slap remains.
When they confronted Lobov, the slap remains. No bus incident, and then Conor just maybe does his thing. Well, okay. To be fair, if the bus incident doesn't happen, we probably have a proper press conference in New York, not one that was just fighters only, right?
Probably.
So I think that would have got the ball rolling, and 2 million. I'll say the bus incident added another 470, 480,000. The one that Meltzer threw in at the end. 2 million.
I would have said about 500.
Because Conor's huge.
Grand was added because of all that. So yeah, we're pretty much on the same page.
Conor became a even bigger superstar outside of MMA when he did the whole boxing thing with Floyd. Khabib's a solid name. I think him and Al sold 350,000 in Brooklyn, so that's not the greatest number ever, but you definitely can't say, hey, this guy's a flop. Mm-hmm. So he's an undefeated fighter from Russia. There was a little bit of animosity between the two camps and fighters. So yeah, we'll see.
How far behind is the next superstar or megastar, or whatever you want to call? Is that John Jones?
Say it again.
How far behind Conor is the next biggest star? For the long time, we would always say Conor and Ronda, right? No more Ronda. So who's the next person? Would it be John Jones?
Well, yeah, it is John Jones, I guess, because you can't say Brock yet. Even though Brock's slated to fight and he's in the USADA pool, there hasn't really been an official fight booking yet. I haven't seen a poster or anything like that. Because the minute Brock comes back, Brock's number 2. But until then I guess it is John Jones.
Okay. How far back is John Jones?
From Conor?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I don't see Conor ever doing less than 2 million for the rest of his career. I mean, unless he just hits an absolutely horrific skid. And Jones, him and Alex, that was a great fight. I see him maybe doing 700,000, 500 to 700,000 for this fight. Mm-hmm. So, he's at least Conor's at least 2 or 3 times the star Jones is.
See, that's a different world. That's not even
It is.
close to being on the same page. So when you think about how much money and revenue that is for the UFC, you kind of understand why they have to play ball a little bit, why Conor's one of those stars that can actually get away with a lot more than other fighters. It sucks for them, but don't feel bad because they're making a grip of cash too. But what happens when that goes away? That's what I want to know. Who picks up the torch? Even if John Jones picks it up, I mean, is he going to be around that long? I don't think so.
Yeah. Josh has gotten some sound bites from. There's one involving Miesha Tate with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and since we've been throwing around Khabib and Conor's name, let's get to that one, Josh. This was Miesha Tate, I believe, from last night's MMA Tonight show, right? Giving her thoughts on how she thinks this is going to unfold.
Calm and collected the whole time. He beats Conor, and then the outrage ensues. Like, that blew me away. I really thought that, he had done it all right. He got to that point. He beat Conor. He's like, yes, I won. All is well in the world. He wasn't. He wasn't done. He had some business to settle, and, that's when the craziness ensued. But do I think that he is loyal to a fault almost? Absolutely. And I think that he would walk away from his UFC contracts.
Go. Crazy, huh? Mm-hmm. I don't think he would, man. I think, look, Khabib's smart. You can tell when, even in his limited English or limited in the way he interacts with people, he's one of those guys where he can say something, you wait about a half a second, you keep staring at him, and he'll give you a smile or a wink as if to say, I was just playing. You see what I'm saying? So I think there's a little bit of he's a little bit of a poker player, and he's with a smart agent who gets a lot of crap. But Ali's learned a lot around the system, and he's developed a pretty good relationship with the matchmakers and the president. They may not invite each other over for barbecues, but I think they get what each other's trying to accomplish. I think Khabib did that on his own, and I'm sure Ali might have a chat with him, because as much as he thinks he's making some sort of a threat backing his brother, I mean, he also but he also is the leader of a lot of fighters that are involved in the UFC. What if the UFC just turns their back on all of them? The one thing Khabib doesn't want to do is prevent them, from having careers as well. So I think these are just cards that are being played on the poker table, but I really feel Khabib does not want to do that. I think Khabib wants to at least defend again, especially Tony Ferguson. Cement that he's the best with no doubt. I do believe Khabib, especially when he said you can keep the $2 million. He's not consumed by money, but I think he's consumed with representing Dagestan, testing himself against the highest competition. I still think he would have to get past Tony before he really, really walked away.
Man, I really think he would do it. I really think he would walk away. I think it's a different mentality. I think you're right. I think this is something that came out of his mouth. I don't think it was something that was put together by his management. But, yeah, I honestly think he'd do it.
All right, now we also threw around the name John Jones. DC's name came up as well. We have some audio as well regarding Derek Lewis, what he told TMZ about, maybe it should have been Stipe and not him. Can you play that one, Josh, please?
I don't know why they don't want to give it to Stipe. I read it would have been great for them to get Stipe than to me, but I appreciate them giving me the shot. But I believe that Stipe really deserved the shot since he was the champion for a while. He defended it that many times, and he was, I guess, dominant for a while. And I don't know why they gave it to me before they gave it to Stipe, because everyone else, whenever they lost their belt, they got a shot to win it back. I don't know why they didn't give it to Stipe unless he wanted some time off.
Now, see here, he's right and he's wrong. I mean, Cody Garbrandt lost his belt and got an immediate rematch. Joanna Jędrzejczyk lost her belt. She got an immediate rematch. But he has a point. It's just that I think what happened here is they want to capitalize off Lewis and the great KO that he just had. Plus, Miocic and Cormier, I think, would deserve a proper build-up, where, hey, what's today? Today's October 12th. Guess what? On January 12th or on February 12th, Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, they will be fighting in this grand arena, wherever it may be, somewhere in the world. Our co-main event is this. Tickets are on sale. Go. That type of thing. Now, that's what one MMA fan will say. The other MMA fan will say, no. Stipe's a dangerous fight. What if he loses and we lose Cormier and Lesnar? Which I don't know that's that much bigger than Miocic and Lesnar. I don't know that DC, other than when he was fighting John Jones, had also established himself as a star. But maybe he did. Maybe I'm wrong. He is on UFC Tonight. He does a lot of color commentator. Maybe he is just the bigger name, of the two. But I don't know that it's by far, far and above over Stipe Miocic. On which side do you sit of this fence, Goes?
Well, I think he makes great points. I don't know why he's making them because it kind of diminishes. I would have just puffed my chest and said, it's me now. I'm the guy. I'm going to come out and I'm going to fight and I'm going to take that dude's belt. But he does make good points. But it just comes down to something that you said, and that's promotion. There's not enough time to promote something of that magnitude, a rematch like that. A heavyweight championship fight like that, especially it being a rematch, you got to give it more time. And I actually think UFC made a good decision with the way they did it. But I'll tell you this right now, they don't want Derek Lewis to win that title.
Mm-hmm. Let's do one more. We have another audio clip. This one's Stipe Miocic, who, slightly went overboard here. And I think this is what we've all been waiting from him, is a little bit of swag, something that can create a headline. And you always come up a little bit short in a Stipe Miocic interview. But in this one, I think he went a little overboard. Can you hit that one, Josh, please?
There's no way hands on. I'm a way better fighter than he was. 9 out of 10 times I win that fight. And that was the one time. And I think... it just, it kills me inside because I am way better fighter than he is. I know it is. And everyone else knows it. I think he knows it too.
Go. See, that has not been established. DC's got a better overall record. He's got more titles. He's just had a slightly better career than Stipe Miocic. He also beat Stipe Miocic in the first round cleanly. So in Stipe's effort to campaign for his fight, he just kind of went a bit overboard. The 9 out of 10, maybe you can get away with that one. Oh, he got me on that one, man. He got me. It was a great shot, but guess what? I'm the better overall package. 9 out of 10, I win. Yeah, we can't really we can't really say he's lying there. But to follow that up by saying I'm just the better overall fighter, this, that, whatever. You see what I'm saying? There's an art to this. Whether it's a pro wrestler that's got to do some sort of a 5-minute chat that involves the crowd or not, or if you're just doing a quick hit interview or whatever. There's an art to it. Practice it, think about what you're going to say, because that's just going to irritate more people, rather than it cause any or create any traction and have any legs so that people can campaign along with you.
I mean, I guess it has some legs on standing alone, but if Daniel Cormier is on the other side, all he's got to do is go, well, then why aren't you wearing a belt if you're that much better than me? It really comes down to that, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right. We got to do one more break. Let's get that out of the way. And we'll still continue to track down our guests. We still have a whole hour to go, so maybe after Herschel Walker, we can get Eddie Bravo by then. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
what they say, and your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
Here, college football play-by-play in the Pac-12 as Arizona travels to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Utes. Kickoff is tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPNU Radio, Sirius XM 84, and streaming on your phone or at home with Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. Also, shout out to Mater Dei High School from Santa Ana, the #1 team in the USA Today Sports High School football rankings, as they take on St. John Bosco from Bellflower. They're the #2 team in the nation, according to USA Today high school football rankings. So #1 against #2. They actually happen to be in the same league. So the winner not only will be the leader of that league, first place, they will also be, I guess, the #1 team in the county, in CIF, Southern California football, and the nation. Huge, huge game, and I believe it's going to be nationally televised as well. So the reason I keep bringing this up is because I went to Mater Dei High School. So I'm pumped, and this cold's not going to keep me back from invading the Santa Ana Stadium tonight and checking out the Monarchs.
Our cousin went to Bosco, right?
He did, yeah. Jeffrey.
For like a year,
went
I think.
A couple years there. Yeah. Looks like everybody's all weighed in. I mean, that's no shocker. We had middleweights and light heavyweights, right? And not the biggest heavyweights weighing in for Bellator. So they're all good to go. Now, jumping around just a bit, because there's news everywhere, man. Bellator, PFL, UFC, in and out of the cage, fight bookings, controversy. How about Rafael Dos Anjos? He challenges Dylan Dennis, to a $200,000 winner-takes-all fight inside the cage. Mm-hmm. So, mixed martial arts. Those two have kind of been going at it on social media. And, well, Dos Anjos ain't a fool. I think Dennis has only had one fight, and he won it. He looked pretty good. Dennis is a renowned grappler. So it'd be interesting if Dos Anjos would maybe do, I know Dos Anjos is a decorated black belt as well, but it'd be interesting if he would maybe do submission grappling. Now, we know that this is just a headline. Dennis is with Bellator, and even if he wasn't, I just don't know that the UFC puts Rafael Dos Anjos against Dylan Dennis in the cage. So it's just a headline. What would have been interesting is if they had done some grappling, because the UFC has allowed their athletes to go outside of competition in the octagon to do some grappling tournaments. Mm-hmm. But I think he knows his goose may be cooked. He's just, Dennis is one of those guys that competes in high level submission grappling. So even though Dos Anjos is a black belt, maybe he could get a draw out of it or something. But it's news. It's news. Well, Here's what Dos Anjos tweeted to him. He says, "This guy Dylan Dennis, he's a nobody." He called him Dylan Dennis, actually. He says, "He just suck Connor's balls and hide behind him. That's his job. He never gonna make it." I'm reading it like him, like he wrote it. Okay. He never gonna make it. Be on Connor's corner in his career. Be on Connor's corner is his career highlight.
Wow.
So my balls.
Dylan Dennis replies, "Let's fight then. Fuck commissions. Let's meet up and fight, you pussy little bitch. You give every fight with no, you give every fight, heart rat. Hard rat." Okay. Wow. These guys don't make it easy, man.
I know, right?
A lot, they may have become black belts in jiu-jitsu, but they skipped English.
I don't know
English
how much money Dylan Dennis has, but didn't he have something going on with Kevin Lee, too? Wasn't he brawling
Dos
back and
Anjos,
forth
yeah,
with
he
him?
did.
That one, I think, was
He did. Dos Anjos replies. He did, yeah. Dos Anjos does reply as I scroll through this story. "Why don't we do like you said to Kevin Lee? I put up 100K, you put up 100K. I can go to your gym or you can come to mine. We jump in the cage with no time. Whoever walks out, take the 200K. Your move. # your move."
Wow.
It's kind of gangster.
Hell yeah, it is. You can get more gangster than that.
All right. It's the end of the first hour. We just got this quick break. Top of the hour here. 60 seconds. We'll be gone, and then we'll be back to continue with this great show of ours, Mixed MMA Junkie Radio, covering the sport of mixed martial arts. We're on Fight Nation, same channel, 93. We're no longer Rush. Now we're Fight Nation, and we're going to keep going here with one more hour to go, and we're going to try to lock down Herschel Walker. So stay close. Don't touch that dial, and we'll be right back.
Tell your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
Guys, if I were to name all the accolades of our next guest, we'd probably run out of time. But the ones that stand out are 1980, Georgia Bulldogs were national champions. Herschel Walker was a big part of that team. A couple years later, won the Heisman Trophy. He was an All-American. He won many awards in his college career, and he's a college football Hall of Famer. And, of course, he went to the pros with the USFL, eventually made it to the NFL, and then he found his way to mixed martial arts. Undefeated, too. 2-0. He did well when he was out there. He's part of that AKA team, man, that's developed a lot of monsters. So these are his teammates that we talk about when we bring up Rockhold and Cormier and Velasquez and Nurmagomedov. So let's welcome in Herschel Walker. How you doing, Herschel Walker? Good to have you on the show.
Hello. Hey, thank you guys for having me on. How you guys doing?
Man, we're doing great. It's been a huge week, UFC 229. Your teammate, Khabib Nurmagomedov, had a really, really impressive performance, and then, of course, a lot of chaos that ensued afterwards. But, man, we've been talking 229 all week.
Oh, well, I can see why. It was an incredible fight. I think Khabib showed that he can go out and get the job done. Conor is a great competitor, but I think Khabib showed that was his night. And I think what happened afterwards was terrible, but at the same time, I don't think it'd take away from what Khabib could do. Yeah.
How much time did you have with Khabib? I know he joined the team about 5-6 years ago, which is about the time you stopped fighting or actually competing. But I know you've been going to AKA for many years as well. So how much gym time did you spend with Khabib?
Well, I didn't spend that much gym time with him, and I just know him more. And mostly the other fighters I spent more time with. But being an AKA guy, I still call him my brother. I still call him my family, and he's still a part of my family. One of the things I told people, and people don't believe this, is I really, really, really enjoyed being an AKA, and I'm still a part of the family there. And mixed martial arts is my life. I'm in New York right now, getting ready for the Bellator match tonight, and also the match tomorrow night. So I'm here getting ready for that right now.
Mm-hmm. How do you describe Khabib to people that say, "Hey, what's that guy like? He's a teammate of yours. What's his personality like outside the octagon?"
He's a different animal. He's a guy that's real courteous. And, one thing about it is, I think everyone in the gym will tell you right now that him jumping out of the cage is not Khabib. Him jumping out of the cage, something have to have been done. That was really, really. Really, really bad for him to do that. That's not him. He's a very composed guy. And it's sad that something happened like that. But, at the same time, you said sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And I think he has taken so much from Conor and Conor group that, he exploded. And, like I said, you cannot condone it. But at the same time, I think right now, and one of the things I asked the commission, I asked the guys, let's think about this for a moment. This guy has never been in trouble, has never done anything, and I'm not going to sit and blame Conor or blame anyone else because Khabib did it. But at the same time, you had a great fighter here that did something that was, you'll say that was great, and he did something bad at the end, has never been in trouble, and then you let something happen that Conor group has gone through and what this guy's gone through. I think they got to think about that. And I've been saying for a long time, I said, guys, what's so funny about this whole situation? If you want to punish this guy, okay, if you want to punish him, I don't think you should be taking all his money away, because let's not do that, because how much was taken from Conor when the thing happened on the bus incident? How much did they take from Conor from that? And then I said, why don't, you got a guy out there, Tony Ferguson, that's wanting to fight. He's ready to fight. Well, put Conor and Tony in there together. Put Khabib on the shelf for 6 months. Let him go and train the AKA. He can't fight for 6 months, but don't take his title. And the winner that Tony Ferguson and Conor get to fight Khabib. And I think that'll be the only fairest thing you can do. But I don't think you should take his money. The guy, I'm not sure what just happened. But then have anyone looked at the tape, and I know Conor threw one of the punches in the ring. He was the one who threw a punch in the ring at one of the teammates of Khabib, one of our teammates at least. He threw a punch first. That was the first punch thrown before someone else hit Conor. So, there's a lot more to the story here, and I think this is a tough situation.
Herschel, but if you don't want to take any money away, do you just feel like the suspension will be enough, or do you agree that maybe there should be a fine, but lower than what Dana White said, for example, which was $250,000?
Oh yeah, I think it should be a fine lower than that, because and I love, one thing about it is I respect Mr. White, Dana, a lot. I respect him a great deal, and he's done something that I think it wouldn't be done again. Sort of like to build something up that they have done has been absolutely incredible. So I think to take a fine like that would be unreasonable, because I don't know whether the UFC had a little bit to do with it. Because you let Conor say things that somebody is a terrorist rat and terrorist this. You know how bad it is in the United States now to call someone a terrorist in today's war and what has happened here in the United States, that you're going to be okay. Those words been thrown out. People have talked about me working with the president today. People have talked about my family, talked about this, and, I don't react. But, I don't know anyone else's culture. I don't know how anyone else react to that. And talking about someone, today in society today, saying certain things, those are words that really, really hurt people. Some people can take it, some people can't. And I'm not saying that Khabib was correct in what he did, but at the same time, I think you gotta watch what people say. I know this is a fight game, but a fight game is not a brutal sport. I think this is one of the best sports out there. I've been trying to say I think it should be an Olympic sport. I don't think people think that this is such a violent sport. Well, it's not. This is a sport that I think you got some great athletes that doing it, and I'm here to test to that, because I've done everything. I've done track and field in the Olympics. I've done bobsled in the Olympics. I played football. I played baseball. I've done all those sports, and I rank MMA right up there with some of the best of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Herschel Walker, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, former national champion at the University of Georgia, former Heisman Trophy winner. Also competed in mixed martial arts, part of the famed AKA team out of San Jose. All right, Herschel, you're of the belief, though, that you don't want to see Tony Ferguson next for Khabib. He's coming off a huge win. They've tried to do that fight before. Wouldn't you just like to see them, let's say the suspension isn't as long, and we can fit a fight in before Ramadan, which we know that Khabib usually takes the summer off because in observance of Ramadan. Would you rather not see Tony versus Khabib now?
No, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. And remember what I said? I said if they got to suspend Khabib,
I got you.
They got to suspend him. Suspend him for a shorter period of time and let those two guys fight, because I think it's unfair for Tony Ferguson to sit there waiting when Conor said that he's ready to fight. If Conor is ready to fight, you have someone right here ready to fight. If you're going to put Khabib on the shelf, but if they're not going to do that, no, let Tony Ferguson and Khabib go at it. They've been trying to do this for 2 times, and it's fallen through. And from what Tony Ferguson said after the fight, he's ready to fight. Well, I would tell Tony, I think you're an incredible athlete, and it'll be an incredible fight. But Khabib is a totally different animal. I'm saying he's a totally different animal. The guy, and I would say this: I love to watch Tony fight as well, and I love the sport. So that would be a heck of a fight right there. I think that's another fight of the century that people look forward to.
Yeah, and no one will ever doubt your love for the sport. You've trained for so long. You've actually stepped into the cage, and just the fact that you're referencing Bellator, UFC, sounds like you really, really keep up to it. Dare I call you an MMA junkie just like us?
Oh, no, I am an MMA junkie. What's funny is you would laugh at this. I happened to be with Ric Flair a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to a couple of radio stations, and they were saying, well, we're with the WWF or whatever, and I said, this is what's going to surprise you. I know more about WWF than I do about football. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I probably know more about MMA today than I know about football, because when there's any MMA is on, I'm watching it. Now, late at night, 3 in the morning, if there's some fight on, you may catch me watching it. And, Scott Coker is one of my dear friends. Scott is one that I think he's part of my family. He's not just a dear friend, but he's part of my family. And I've been working with Scott now for years, and like I said, I'm in New York with him right now, getting ready for the big heavyweight tournament that's going on. So I'm excited about it, and I think this is going to be exciting.
Yeah. All right, Goes, did you hear it? He's an MMA junkie just like us, so you should have a lot of fun here. I know you got some questions for Herschel Walker. Go ahead, Goes.
Herschel, now we've seen in the past in combat sports, in football, basketball, there's been a lot of rivals and a lot of people who maybe didn't get along as they were competing against each other, but years later became cordial, and some even became friends. I just saw the other day Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. They used to hate each other on the court. Now they're shaking hands, they're having fun. In the case of Khabib and Conor McGregor, has the line just gone too far? Have they crossed the line too far where even years from now these guys just aren't going to like each other?
And I don't think that'll happen. To be honest with you, that was some very, very hard words taken. But I think at the same time, people respect each other's talent. People respect each other's talent. And I think Khabib realized, and I said this about Conor. Conor McGregor is one of the greatest athletes in MMA ever. And I think he's one of the best promoters in MMA ever as well. He's a promoter. And that's what I think people got to realize. The guy can promote a fight. You see what he did with the Mayweather fight. He promoted that fight, and even though Mayweather is a great promoter as well, but he promoted that fight, made an incredible boxing match, and something that a guy has never done before. He promoted it. So I think sooner or later, and one thing about Conor, and I think people got to give him his just due, Conor's not, he's a promoter, but he also is a great guy. He loves his country, he loves his people, and that means a lot. And I think people got to respect that about him, and I do think, in years to come, that those guys can shake hands and be respectful to each other.
I know you talked a little bit about Tony Ferguson and he put on a great performance against Anthony Pettis. If that were to be the next fight for Khabib Nurmagomedov, do you believe that would be an even tougher challenge than what Conor McGregor brought to the table?
Oh, no doubt. There's no doubt, because let me tell you, something about Tony Ferguson is that guy has a stand-up game that is incredible, and his darn ground game is great as well, and he's got that determination with that being that conditioning guy. He's a guy that his condition is absolutely incredible, and that's one thing. And let's give credit to Conor as well. Conor did not get tired where people thought he was. Everyone thought Conor was going to get tired going to the third round, and he didn't. But one thing about it, Tony Ferguson is not going to get tired. He's going to come out, and because he got such a great stand-up game, that's going to make it a little bit different for Khabib. But, one thing about Khabib is he prepares for a fight. I think people were shocked that he stood there with Conor for a little bit, and, he slugged it out with it. And there was a few times that he caught Conor. And
This is crazy, Herschel, just hearing you break down fights. You really are an MMA junkie. I'm sorry, did we lose you there? Are you there with us?
Yes, and let me tell you, let's give Conor some praise here. I was watching you. I know a little bit about boxing. I box as well, and I was shocked because Mayweather has come back years after being on the shelf and fought some of the best fighters in the world. And you've seen Mayweather dodge punches and miss, and those guys don't touch it. But in the fight with Conor, you saw Conor put his hands on him. Conor put his hands on Mayweather, which shows that Conor got very good hands. His stand-up game is very good. But in the fight with Khabib, you saw Khabib really stand there with him. And I was saying, to be honest, I was saying don't stand there for long, because you never know. Conor got a left hand that'll put you to sleep. So I was happy to see that it went to the ground. I love to see when Khabib gets you on the ground, you can forget it.
Herschel, I know you jumped out of your seat when you saw Khabib land that big right hand and put Conor down. That was a little unexpected.
Oh, I did. I was shocked. I was shocked because no one has seen Khabib do that. So I was totally shocked when he did it. But I think that sometimes that'll give you confidence. Sometimes it'll give you too much confidence as well. Sometimes you watch guys that once, they're great wrestlers. They're great wrestlers, and all of a sudden they see that they can land good punches. They forget about going to what they're good at. And I said, guys, don't try that sometimes. Sometimes you just wake your opponent up. And that's one thing I was happy with Khabib. Even though he got a great punch on Conor, but he didn't just go crazy. He kept himself under composed, and that's what you got to do with a great athlete, because you never know what Conor going to do.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's close with this. Since you'll be in attendance, what are your predictions for Matt Mitrione versus Ryan Bader, and then the following day, Fedor Emelianenko versus Chael Sonnen? Who comes out of this, Herschel, and who do you have in the finals of the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix?
Well, I tell you, the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix is going to be exciting. I tell you what, Brian Bader, I tell you, the guy is a big dude. I was shocked how big Brian had gotten. But I tell you, Matt Mitrione is an unusual fighter, very unorthodox. And I'm going to give that to Matt Mitrione. I think that because of his unorthodox style, and, I think Brian is such a great wrestler, but I think Matt got very good hands. Matt's hands have gotten better, and because of his unorthodox style, I think he'll win that. And I think the match with Chael and
Fedor and Emelianenko.
yes, Fedor. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Fedor, even though I like Chael. I think Chael is a promoter as well, but I think Fedor has had some tough fights. He has not come to this Grand Prix to win it, and you've seen some of the things he's done early on in the Grand Prix, and I think I'm gonna give it to him. And I think it'll end up the finals will be Matt Mitrione against Fedor, and I think Matt may beat him. I think Matt beat him. I think a year ago, 2 years ago. I think Matt beat him. And I think Matt may beat him again. I think Matt Mitrione is, he's like I say, he's an orthodox fighter that's a little bit different, and he's a good athlete. I hate to say he's an ex-football player, but he's a very, very good athlete. And I think that I think I'm gonna give him the title.
All right. Well, we'll be tuning in tonight to DAZN and Paramount to watch Bellator 207. And the same goes for tomorrow, Bellator 208, as Bellator winds down their heavyweight Grand Prix. And Herschel, thanks for coming on the show and talking a little bit of Khabib versus Conor. And with Khabib being a teammate of yours, it was very interesting to listen to your perspective on all of that. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time, sir.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thank you for me on.
All right. Have a nice day. Enjoy the fights tonight. All right. There you have it. Herschel Walker, former college football standout. I mean, this guy is a college football god, goes a college football Hall of Famer. And then, of course, he went on to the USFL, the NFL, and has had just an amazing sports and an amazing athletics career. He ran track. That's right. I remember that. Played football, mixed martial arts, undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Push-up.
All right,
and
we're going to take a
sit-up
break. That's right. Yeah, you're right. He starts every day with 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 sit-ups. That takes me a whole month to do, and that's if I dedicate myself to it, which I haven't. All right, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. We'll be right back after this break, and we'll see if we can still give it one last run at Eddie Bravo.
Bringing you closer to the fight.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Kick off your weekend with some Friday night MLS action as LAFC look to continue their brilliant debut season against the Houston Dynamo. Listen to the game at 10 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Goes. What do you think about LA having two MLS teams? I mean, it didn't kind of work out with Chivas. Why'd they go down this road again? I thought the Galaxy was the Galaxy. Like, that was LA's team. Did they really need to do something else?
I really don't know. And from what I've seen, it doesn't look like they have that many more followers than what Chivas was able to achieve. So I don't know what the thinking is behind that. Cool uniforms.
All right. I've always rooted for the MLS to do well. You know, we're probably 100 years behind the rest of the world. And that goes for Europe and South America when it comes to this. But I think we can close the gap. But, wow, to compete with those other sports, you know what I mean? Whereas soccer or football, as they call it over there, is just a clear-cut number one. I had my doubts, but these guys are still, they're still moving along here. And I think they're almost 25 years in because, if I'm not mistaken, MLS started right after the 1994 World Cup in the United States.
No way.
And
did it really?
That would. Yeah, that was part of, I think his name was Peter, the organizer of the United States Olympic Committee for 1984. He's also the one that organized getting MLS together. His name was Peter. I forget what his last name was, but he established it, I thought, after the 1994 World Cup.
Do you remember who had the first goal ever?
Ooh, Kobe Jones?
For the Galaxy he did, but not for MLS.
For MLS, I would say Carlos Valderrama. I don't know.
No, it was Eric Winalda for the San Jose.
Oh, really?
Earthquakes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 1994 is when that MLS, it was the inaugural season. So that's 1 year after the UFC 1993, and we're on 25 years for them on November. What's the fight card? November 10 in Denver. November 12, I think 1993 is 25 years. So yeah, exactly. Has been a long time.
Do you guys think soccer is ever going to catch up to the four major sports in the U.S.? I hear from I like soccer. I'm a casual fan, but I hear from a lot of the diehards like, oh, obviously it's huger overseas, but I hear from a lot of the soccer fans here like, just wait. It's going to catch up. It's going to be bigger than like hockey or basketball. Do you guys think that's possible here in the States?
Maybe.
No on football.
Hockey. But you know what, though,
no
George?
on pro football for sure.
People are soured
no
on
on basketball. Football. It's still a juggernaut, Goes. It's a monster, man. Pro football, college football, high school football, Friday. They own Friday, Saturday, Monday, or when I say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they own it all. So for sure, not in our lifetime and not for the next 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. Basketball, I don't think so either. I mean, it is blown up as well. Same thing on all levels. But I think baseball and hockey, maybe. Baseball, NASCAR, and golf, if you look at the median age, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's a sport that is supported by mostly older adults. Not to say that there's not younger ones. I'm just saying the median age and the younger kids are gravitating to different sports, and I believe soccer is one of them. So to answer Josh's question, if it were to happen, I think it would go in the order of hockey first, then baseball. But I think those two, maybe in the next 25, 50 years, it could get surpassed. But we'd have to define, what does that mean? Like average attendance at their games, how do the stadiums fill up, TV ratings, social media, or what would go into the equation of figuring that out? I don't know. But I certainly think it's possible for those two.
What do you think, Josh?
I mean, it is basically hockey just on a bigger field without skates. For me, the only reason I would say no is like I think it honestly might be too sophisticated for the audience here. I mean, excuse me. I mean, it's like, for me when I watch it, it's just not enough action. Like hockey, at least hockey's low scoring, but you get the hits, you get the fights. Soccer, it's a great game. I just, football. Yeah, football's a juggernaut. Basketball, I mean, the star power here. I don't know if soccer can match that here. Obviously, abroad they do. I don't know, man. I think you need. I think it's going to take some legit time. But I do agree with what you guys are saying. I mean, the older age, eventually something's got to give, and like golf and those sports, eventually those might decrease as far as popularity. But I don't know if it'll happen anytime soon. I think there's a ways to go.
The only reason I bring up football is because I think the reason why our soccer players aren't the best in the world is because when you start at a young age, it's almost like you take all of our great athletes and they're either going to play baseball, basketball, football, whatever. And then whatever's left over goes to soccer, right? And I think that's starting to change early on now because of all the concussion stuff that goes out, right, in pro football. I think families are more like, let's just put him in soccer. And when he gets to high school, let him play football. But by then, maybe a kid falls in love with soccer. So I really think in the next couple of years, I think it will make a big jump, but I don't know that it can dethrone some of that other stuff. But what kind of soccer are you watching, though, Josh? Because if you're watching high-level soccer, I think you would like that better, obviously, than if you were watching MLS. It's just not the same.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I'm watching like the New Jersey Red Bulls or whatever, in New York.
Yeah.
So, I'll watch the World Cup when that comes around too. I'll get into it. That's the other problem too, man. I mean, if the U.S. were to, I know it'd be crazy, but if the U.S. were to win the World Cup, I think that would help. I think that's the other problem too. We're just so far behind, the rest of the world when it comes to this stuff. I don't know if people really want to invest. Like basketball, obviously the U.S. rolls in the Olympics. Hockey, we're up there with Canada. I think that's another issue too.
Josh, what you need to do is start watching the English Premier League. You need to pick a team. I'm going to guide you towards Manchester United, the best team in the world. All right, but you can make your own choice. But by you not watching the English Premier League and watching MLS, that would be the equivalent of me saying, Josh, don't come check out Metallica at the T-Mobile. There's some band out there in New Jersey. It's a cover band. They're doing Metallica tonight.
That's a fair point. Now let me ask you this. All right, Manchester United, that's fine. I have my friend, the biggest soccer fan I know. Shout out to Ahmed. He loves Barcelona, and I really want to pick.
That's a good squad too.
No. I don't want to get on board with them. Who's their biggest rival? Whoever that is, I think that's going to be my team. Is it Manchester United?
Real Madrid. No, it's Real Madrid. They play in the Spanish league. The Spanish league is a quality league. The problem is it's not deep. In other words, you got those two teams, Real Madrid. That's Luke Thomas's team, by the way, and Barcelona.
Good. I'll agree with Luke.
And then after that, you have Atletico and maybe another side that gets hot. And then after that, dude, teams just get fucked up by those other three. All right, so it's not as competitive. Whereas the English Premier League, I'm telling you, 1 through 20, of course you got your top teams, the ones that pay the most. But number 20 can still bring it on a Saturday. See, there's competition. A team gets challenged. It's very competitive. So, that's why you want to tune in. You don't want to tune in and watch your team smoke another team 8-0 all the time. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but you love being challenged. And I think you get a little bit more of that. Yeah, it's faster play. It's more physical play in the English Premier League.
You know what? Manchester United and Real Madrid, this is legit. Now, where does Liverpool come into all this, too?
Liverpool,
like
once in a while, gets asked to carry Man United's jock stripes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm a very basic soccer fan at most. So, all right, this is educational. I got 2 teams now. All right, I got my homework. I appreciate it.
Liverpool can suck my balls. That's where they belong.
Wow.
All right. Let's do the daily debate. Goes, you want to do that?
Let's do it. I'm very excited for this daily debate. As soon as I saw it, I was pumped up.
Yeah, me too. And, we kind of touched on it earlier, so that's why I think we took our foot off the gas a little bit so that we could really dive into it right now. Here's the question. Do you think Khabib Nurmagomedov's threat to leave the UFC is serious? So it's a pretty basic question. And, of course, it requires a yes or a no, but we're going to expand on it. Goes, where do you sit?
I absolutely think he's 100% serious. There's nothing that Khabib has done in his career that's ever led me to believe that he's any type of jokester or playing any type of games, anything like that. That guy is stone cold serious, and when he says that, I firmly believe that he believes it. Now it just comes down to, you've seen the way the UFC's been on stances before. I would be shocked though if they didn't cave a little bit on this one, because Khabib does not mess around.
I'm gonna go with no. I believe that if the UFC were to force his hand, Khabib could go somewhere else and make money. But at the end of the day, even if he's not consumed by money, money helps in many ways. And if money can establish a big gym in Dagestan for the younger generation to train in, or if money can help his immediate family and extended family and help them out of some hardships or whatever, and money's being given away, for his hard work, not just given away, but in other words, he can make a lot of money fighting with the UFC. I think he's going to take this very serious. I think, obviously, like I said earlier, they are playing poker, and he had to come in with a very serious raise, if you will. But if the UFC comes back and goes over the top or goes all in, I think Khabib and them, they'll figure it out. Again, Ali Abdelaziz's manager, a lot of you have an opinion on him one way or another, but you can't take away the experience he now has in dealing with the UFC. And I think one way or another, these guys can figure it out. So is the threat to leave serious? Yeah, I guess yes, but I don't really feel like he'll ever go through with it. So that's why I would click no. But I do believe, he meant it, and he hopes that the UFC doesn't push back. We'll see. I think more people sided with you, though, Goes. 1,644 votes came in. 70% said yes, 30% said no. There you have it. There's today's Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. I want to get this last break out of the way, guys. That way, in case Eddie Bravo were to wake up and call in, we can get that, done, and we don't have to sweat out these breaks, and we can just cruise to the finish line. So stay close. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 83. We'll be right back.
If you missed
living in. Let me tell ya.
He's ready.
It's a world that man can eat at all. When things are big, that should be.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Here, college football play-by-play in the Pac-12 as Arizona travels to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Utes. Kickoff is tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPNU Radio, Sirius XM 84, and streaming on your phone or at home with Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. All right, we got him. Eddie Bravo from the famed 10th Planet chain of gyms and, of course, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu system. They were on display this past week at Quintet. Man, I really enjoyed their battle versus Team Polaris. They've actually won one of the Quintets. They won the second edition. The third edition was won by Team Alpha Male. Joining us now is the leader of the 10th Planet team, Eddie Bravo. What's up, Eddie? How you doing?
Hey, man, just woke up. Sorry about that mix-up. I'm over here.
No problem, my man.
I'm in Philadelphia, and I took a flight. It was a horrible flight. I had to wake up at 7 to do some radio for the stand-up, this tinfoil hat comedy thing we're doing out here. So my sleep schedule's all messed up. Sorry about that.
No worries, my man. So that means in Philly it's like 2 p.m. It's like almost 3. Wow, you're a late sleeper.
Well, I live in L.A., so it's more like 11 o'clock right now, 11 in the morning.
That's true. All right. Hey, last week we were at Quintet. We had a blast watching the whole event. They had the Pride entrance, and of course seeing the legendary names like Sakuraba and Josh Barnett, and then watching all these amazing grappling teams. I got to tell you, Goes and I, we had a blast. Now I know it wasn't your guys' night. You guys didn't come out on top. You have won a previous Quintet edition, but talk about that night. What did you think overall of Quintet 3, and what do you think of Quintet? I don't know if we can call him a competitor of EBI, because I don't know if you're still doing your shows or plan on doing your shows, but can you maybe answer all those questions, please?
Well, EBI is stronger than ever, as a matter of fact. We're doing combat jiu-jitsu now. We added palm strike, so it's not just a regular sub-only show. When we do girls shows, it's a regular sub-only show, but when the guys are doing shows now, it's 16-man combat jiu-jitsu with palm strikes to face and head. So yeah, we're just getting started, as a matter of fact. And no, I don't consider Quintet competition because they're doing a team format, and there's room enough, in the grappling scene and the sub-only scene for a whole gang of events, because the scene is so non-lucrative, for the promoter. So we need competition. We're trying to form a scene, you know what I mean? A viable scene that can support itself financially. Because right now, everyone that's putting on shows is basically doing a passion project, because it's a new thing, and we need Polaris, we need Quintet, we need more shows to, actually make it a viable scene. Because right now, it's just like a dream for it to be a scene, because it's so new.
And these promotions, they won't try and lock down the grapplers to contracts or anything like that? I thought that's one of the things Metamorphs back in the day was doing. And
yeah, that, you can do that when there's an actual scene, where there's a lot of money flowing. But the Russian grappling event, Berkut or ABJJ, I forget what they're called, they try to do that. They try to lock down competitors to contracts, and it didn't work out so well. I think it's a little too early for that. And they're kind of on hiatus right now, and they kind of let everybody out of their contracts. There's just not enough money in the scene yet. It's a brand new thing. We got to build it up first before we start locking people in.
About last Friday, like I said, I know it didn't go your way, Eddie, but man, your team battled, and you got some monsters on your team. The Martinez brothers, those guys are amazing. But Team Polaris did win that matchup. How do you feel about how it all went down, and going forward? Like, do you like to go to immediate rematches, or do you just let Quintet kind of choose whoever the new 4 teams may be and just kind of go forward? How does that work out with you guys? Like, how competitive are the juices between the different teams that are out there?
Yeah. Well, we would love to keep it going. You know what I mean? We're kind of we have a rule on the team between the guys. You know, just because 10th Planet is so big and there's so many. We got so many hungry warriors trying to get on the team. So we made a deal right before the first quintet we did in Japan. And the deal was, if we win the whole thing, the team stays intact. But if we lose, the guys that didn't get a sub or got subbed, you know, we're gonna have a trials for their spot, and they can reclaim their spot, but now they got to win a trial, you know, because we got so many good competitors, you know. So we didn't win this last one. So we won the first one, so the team stayed intact. We come back and did Quintet 3. We lost. It was an insane battle, man. We had some epic moments. I mean, you know, Gio tapping out Gregor Gracie was epic. PJ tapping out Shaolin, that was crazy epic if you know anything about the BJJ world. And Boogie, Rubber Garden, Marcin Held, tapping him to a Carney, that was insane too. So we had some great moments. Those three guys are staying, and Amir and Adam both got tapped. So their spots. We had 2 spots open. So what we're going to do is we're going to put Vinny Magalhaes, give him 1 spot, and have trials for that, and have trials for the remaining spot. You know, we got a lot of good guys, man. You know, so that trials is going to be epic in itself for us in the 10th Planet community, because we got guys like Kyle Bain, John Thor Blank, who just won the 16-man combat jiu-jitsu tournament at EBI 17. John Thor Blank, remember that name? He's going to try out, and you know, and Adam and Amir are going to do it too, and they might, you know, that's going to put a fire under their asses to get even stronger, bigger, faster, better, you know. So we're going to come back stronger than ever. So, you know, especially with Vinny right there, we needed someone to stop Craig Jones, someone to stop Gordon Ryan, you know. So it was a no-brainer. We had to put Vinny in there.
That's a beast. He's a beast. You just you know, definitely strengthen your team with the bigger guys there, Eddie. I really, really like that fight booking. How about in terms of you know, I mentioned the competitive juices. Like, how is the rivalry respectful between some of the guys, or is there some dislike between any of the competitors?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we love the guys. I mean, I love Craig James, you know, and all the other guys. Unless there's something going on that I don't know about. There's, you know, there's no bad blood. This is grappling. You know what I mean? It's not like Khabib and Conor, you know, where people are actually getting, you know, kicked in the head. You know, we're just grappling. So as far as Quintet goes, you know, I mean, EBI is going to do a combat jiu-jitsu quintet in 2019. So it's going to be just like Quintet, but we're going to have palm strikes to the face and head, make it a little more gangster. So maybe the rivalries will intensify, you know, when you add palm strikes. But as of right now, it's, you know, everything's cool as far as I know.
Oh, good. Yeah, no. Yeah, so I was in attendance that night. And I guess maybe I read into it too much. Sometimes when I was looking, you could just tell the loser of each, or either if they both drew out or if somebody lost to another guy, they had this look like, wait till next time, motherfucker. You know what I mean? There was some very, very respectful handshakes and all that. But again, you know, it was a little bit West Coast, East Coast, and I know that both teams had won a title in the past, so I didn't know exactly if this is one of those things that rivaled the old Gracie Lucha Libre days or anything like that.
No, not like that. Those guys really hated each other. I love those guys on Polaris. All those guys are awesome. Daniel Stars, Craig Jones, Marcin Held. Those are all awesome people.
Eddie Bravo is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me turn it over to Goes back in Las Vegas. Goes, what do you have for Eddie Bravo?
Eddie, you know, I just want to add to what George was saying. I mean, that was an incredible showing. It was definitely the best matchup of the night. We all had fun watching it. The one thing that I wanted to get your opinion on, that for as great as the night was, it seemed like the one thing that was slowing things down a little bit were the Shidos. And it seemed like some of them were just a little premature. I felt like a lot of times people were working and they were just coming out left and right. How do you think that affected the performance at all? Were you on board with some of that?
I'm not, you know, I love Quintet. I love 90% of the rules, and that having the judges with the flags, I'm not a fan of it. And, you know, when I was sitting after we lost and we got to be spectators and sit in the crowd and watch the event, you know, through that perspective, no one liked it. No one liked it. Every time those flags, those judges, they just wanted it to seem important. It was ridiculous. You don't need that. You don't need those flags. I mean, if they're trying to push the action, you know, that's one thing. If it's completely obvious, it's totally obvious that someone's stalling. Yes, but they call it for anything, and I'm not. You know, we're going to do an EBI in 2019 with Quintet rules, but modified. It's gonna be combat EBI Quintet, and we're gonna do a couple things different. We're not gonna have those stalling calls like that. Only when it's crazy obvious, you know. So you're gonna see, and we have that in EBI. We have a yellow card situation, but I never really have to pull it because it's really not necessary. It's jiu-jitsu. You have to set things up. Submissions take time to set up. You know, you stand the guys up and they're right in the middle setting something up. It's like, what's the point of that? You're going backwards. That's the opposite of submission. So we're not going to do that. And also we're going to have weight classes where everybody's going to be the same weight. There's not going to be any David and Goliath matches. Because on paper, it seems awesome, but what it really is with those David and Goliath matches is the small guy trying to DQ the big guy and get him out. You know, so I don't know how I feel about that, you know, but we're going to do like welterweight Quintet where everybody's 170 or featherweight Quintet where everybody's 145. So there's not any of these matches that are strategically set up to stall someone out, you know. They got all these flags that are anti-stalling, yet they know that these David and Goliath matches are all about stalling. So I'm not a fan of that part. But the whole overall 5-on-5 and, you know, if there's a stalemate, they both get disqualified and it's the last man standing survival match. I love all that. Quintet is awesome. They just need a couple tweaks, in my opinion. Get rid of the judges. And, you know, they could keep doing, you know, their 950-pound weight allowance style. I like that. But EBI is going to do it a little different. We're going to do weight categories where everyone's the same size. So every match is going to be, you know, balls out going for the submission. And there's going to be no reason to stall. And, you know, we're going to have palm strike. So it's just going to get even more intense.
You know, after being in Las Vegas and all that, when the event was over, you would imagine most people, hey, we're in Vegas, let's go out and have a drink, have fun. But like George mentioned, the matchup was so close and so intense. I have to imagine, like, how much time passed before you guys actually sat down, re-watched it, and just started breaking it down? Because it almost seemed like you guys would be the opposite, not go out and just go straight into a room and start watching all that stuff, because it was pretty intense.
Oh man, you know, it wasn't like it was a blowout. It was close. It was back and forth, and you know, we just didn't have an answer for Craig Jones. You know what I mean? But you know, like I said, we had epic moments. And the Geos went over Gregor Gracie, PJ's went over Shaolin, Boogie's went over Marcin Held with some intense rubber guard. We had some. It was like you said, it was awesome to watch because it was like a roller coaster, and you know, we're happy in that regard. You know, we wish we would have won, but you know, things will be a little different with Vinny in there now.
Eddie, if we saw a 50-some-year-old Sakuraba out there, what about an Eddie Bravo that's still in his 40s? Could you possibly be out there with your team on a future Quintet or EBI?
Well, I'm actually 48, and you know, I just had back surgery a couple years ago, and I'm just recovering from major shoulder surgery. So we'll see how I come back. I'm planning on coming back, but I don't know if my body's going to be able to take it. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. You know, Sakuraba wants to do a retirement match between me and him. So we'll see how that goes.
Very cool. All right, my man. Well, hey, it's always great catching up with you. You said, do you have an actual date for the next EBI, or are you just saying in 2019 you guys will kick off again?
Well, the next EBI is December 9th, and that's going to be an all-girl show. Yeah, all-girl show. The best black belts in the world and Grace Gundrum, the return of Grace Gundrum, she's going to be in that too. So she's going to be a little 16-year-old prodigy. She's going to be going against, the top female jiu-jitsu players in the world. So, that's December 9th on UFC Fight Pass. It's going to be in Onnit in Austin at the Onnit Academy. And then 2019, we don't have any dates set, but look for that Combat EDI Quintet show is coming.
Can't wait for it, man. We hope to catch up with you then so we can promote it. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio as always.
Also, real quick, if you're anywhere near Philadelphia tonight, the Tinfoil Hat Comedy Show featuring me and Sam Tripoli, we're playing at the Punchline at 10 o'clock in Philadelphia tonight, and in Syracuse Sunday. This Sunday, Syracuse at the Funny Bone. Check it out.
Very cool. All right, Eddie, congratulations. Break a leg.
Thank you, man. See it.
All right, there you have it, folks. Eddie Bravo from the famed 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu System, and, of course, all the affiliates that they have all over the country, all over the world. He's done well for himself. All right, we are going to, I guess we have one more break to go, so let's take that, and then we'll come back up to close up shop. Stay close. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on SiriusXM's Fight Nation, Channel 93.
Hooker.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
I being the one in Costa Mesa, Goes being the one in Las Vegas who's a huge Hooker fan. All right, It's MMA Junkie Radio wrapping up another fun week. Big shout out to Jumbo Josh for helping us out here these last couple shows, stepping in for Danny Otto, who's out sick. Dan, Tom, John Morgan, they'll return on Monday as well. Want to thank all of our guests for the week: John Morgan, Ensign Inoue, Vincent Luque, Derek Lewis, Jonathan Schwager, mixedmartialarts.com, Carlos Silva, Frankie Edgar, Johnny Case, Will Brooks, Josh Copeland, Eddie Bravo, and Herschel Walker. Tonight is Bellator 207 with Mitrione and Bader, as well as an alternate bout of Karatanov and Nelson. Those guys may play in a part here in this Grand Prix, but it's Mitrione and Bader and Fedor and Sonnen tomorrow night at Bellator 208, back-to-back nights. Catch them on Paramount and DAZN. It's kind of like a co-broadcast there between those two giants. 9 p.m. Eastern start time for that main card. Remember, the prelims can always be seen on MMA Junkie. Tomorrow night, as Bellator 208 is being played out, Goes and I will be in Long Beach for PFL 9. You can catch them on NBC Sports Network, 9 p.m. Eastern start time. You can watch a lot of their prelims on Facebook. It's facebook.com/live. PFL is very prominent there on their front page. And we still got 2 more tickets left. So if you get a hold of us at MMA Junkie George at the Goes, we can hook you up with a pair of tickets to PFL 9. Also, keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the week because we're still doing a lot of the recap stories there with the fallout from UFC 229. The Nevada State Athletic Commission got this 10-day temporary suspension on both Khabib and Conor, and I guess on the 24th they might actually get together and we might start getting more answers, at least as to where the NSAC might be leaning, like what they're gonna maybe do for everything that transpired after UFC 229. So we got you covered there on MMA Junkie. Our guys definitely following up with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. One last thing, I want to give a shout out to Nick from Vancouver. Thank you very much, Nick, for the card. And definitely I used your gift to devour some Texas de Brazil. So thank you very much, man. I always want to give you a holler. Same thing with Mike from Humboldt. Definitely helped us out a lot. And I've been enjoying my Roku. So thank you very much, brother. All right, we got to get out of here. So shout out to Mark Boffo from Sportsnet 590. We do have to bounce now. For Josh and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be a champion.
All right, fellas. Fun one.